knew we were over here because some persons did not get the agenda. So some persons will go to the hall. So in about 2 minutes.
No, I mean, I see here that she has public to sit more. So you guys put up right on this one.
Is there ribbon phones over here?
No.
Oh, okay. So that's not what you want, but really.
She went to the car. This is
Claudia just gave it to me. Claudia just gave it to me. I can't say no. Some person is still over there, I don't want to see. Because some person will get it here, and they don't want
Bad business.
Are you happy with the ambulance?
I know whether to run or
There's a car. We don't have machines here. Okay, we'll call it. Yes, we can use this.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Right. Good afternoon. Thank you for your indulgence. As I said, it's now 2:28. And welcome to the Joint Board of Election meeting here on St. Croix at the Cardiac Center around FUE Hospital. We had numerous challenges getting here. Seaboard has a limited number of flights. Persons who were supposed to be coming today were put on yesterday's flight, and a plethora of other things that were going on, but we're here, and I'm glad that the public is here also to see that your Joint Board of Election is acting with integrity to get the job done for the election system of the Virgin Islands. I've asked Member Williams to do the roll call in the absence of our Secretary, Member Watlington Jr., who's on his way here. Member Williams?
Member Elbert Bryan?
Here.
Member Len Webster?
Here.
Member Lisa Harris-Moorhead? Member Ross? Here. Member Williams here. Member Liliana Gallardo de O'Neill?
Yeah.
Member Roland Molinar?
Present.
Member Legia Hendricks?
Present.
Member Lawrence Bashalte. Absent. Member Arturo Watlington. Absent. Member Claudette Georges.
Present.
Member Wilma Monsanto.
Present.
Member Alicia Wells.
Here.
Member Harry Daniels.
Present.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, 12 present, 3 absent.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have.
Madam Chair,
Motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, Member Lisa Moyen is excused. She had to have a family emergency, take some off island.
Is it 12 or 3 absent, sir?
Good, 11 and 3.
Yes.
11 present, 3 absent.
Okay, motion.
Member Webster.
I move that we reorder the agenda and we go into executive session.
Second.
It's been moved and second to reorder the agenda.
Objection.
Amendment.
Objection? Member Williams?
I agree with the motion, but we need to state the motion based on the item on the agenda. So are you suggesting that we change, we amend the agenda to reflect item F to become now
Item F to be
C?
item C.
And
Okay.
item F should have 2 things
Right,
here.
right.
1, personal matters. 2, discussion of the
Election.
2014 election calendar, so make those notations
Okay.
too.
Item F, Congress.
Item C.
Become C.
Yeah.
There's an amendment on the floor also?
That was my objection. Amendment, sorry.
Member Georges?
My amendment is on personnel matters. The discussion should be continued to 10 minutes.
The entire discussion.
Personnel matters.
Personnel matter, 10 minutes and another, I guess 20 minutes in executive session, another 10 minutes for the family.
We need to vote on the amendment?
Nobody second the amendment.
I second the
Yes,
amendment.
somebody.
All right. Well, question, please.
Question, Member Ryan?
If you making item F after C, is that
Before C.
before C?
It becomes,
C.
And what C becomes?
C becomes D.
All right.
The numbers
So
was
then therefore you re-add the whole number.
absolutely
That's what
correct.
he said.
And then you said 10 minutes.
10 minutes for personnel matters.
Personnel.
That was the amendment.
No longer than 10 minutes.
No more than 10 minutes on personnel.
Member Daniel?
Madam Chair, if C right now is only introduction of election system staff, why move it all the way to F? Why not make, instead of making it, make it
When we
D?
move to F, it would be C, F would be C instead of C. C would become D. Are you saying we should do the introduction
All right.
first? The motion is to put
I
it
think it
there.
would be,
I see your point. I saw.
it would be more practical, to do
I
that.
see
You
your
know
point.
what I'm saying?
So instead of saying F to C, we say F to D.
The motion is,
Excuse me.
The amendment is on the D. I mean,
Excuse me, Chair. In correcting the amendment, remember that Member Webster also stated 10 minutes concerning
right, that's the amendment.
item number 2. So it's 10 item 1, personal matters, and 10 minutes for discussion on 2014.
did he say 10 for number 2 also?
Yes, he did.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Yes, he did.
Okay, so
All right,
So
so the
that's a
amendment
total of
is,
20 minutes.
a total of 20 minutes for executive session.
Correct.
so the amendment is 10 minutes for each item in F, which is now C. Is there any objection to the
Yeah,
amendment?
yes,
Yeah.
What is the reason to have to have a personnel matter executive session? That's what F is it?
Exactly.
Well, why is the 10 minutes about?
Because they limited the amount of discussion to 10 minutes for each number 1 and 10 minutes for number 2.
Which one? Discussion in 2014?
Election calendar, yes.
That don't need to be an executive session, I no secret.
The amendment is as stated, 10 minutes.
Please tell Cadillac.
Roll call
Roll
on
call
the
on the
amendment?
amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Member Delbert Bryan,
No.
Member Webster,
Yes.
Member Lisa Mohammed, absent. Member Rupert Ross,
Yeah.
Member Raymond Williams, yes. Member Liliana Delgado de O'Neill,
Yes.
Member Roland Molina,
Yes.
Member Lydia Hendricks,
Yes.
Member Lawrence Masota, absent. Member Arturo Washington, absent. Member Claudia Georges,
Yes.
Member Wilma Monsanto, apologize. Member Alicia Wells,
Yes.
and Member Harry Daniels.
No.
The amendment is 9 yeas, 2 nays, and 3 absent.
The amendment is passed. Now the original
Roll call on
motion.
the motion.
On the motion as amended.
Roll call on the amended motion. Member Delbert Brand. Member Glenn Webster.
Yes.
Member Lisa Harris Moorhead, absent. Member Rupert Ross.
Yeah.
Member Raymond Williams, yes. Member Liliana Delgado de O'Neill.
Yes.
Member Roland Molina. Yes. Member Lydia Hendricks.
Yeah.
Member LaSholte, absent. Member Watlington, absent. Member Claudia Georges.
Yes.
Member Wilma. Yes.
Yes.
Member Alicia Wells.
Yes.
Member Harry Daniels. On the motion, there's 9 yeas, 2 nays, and 3 absent. Motion,
So we're going to move into executive session now as moved and passed by this board. It's 20 minutes, 10 minutes on each of the matters, 10 for personnel, 10 for discussion of the election calendar. We ask that the persons who are here just wait for us outside. It's going to be no longer than 20 minutes because that was passed. It's full. I will still send you an email.
This one. Sitting up there. Sitting up there.
So let me check it.
No, that's not what it is. What is that to be a secret?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, check it. I'm well, I can do it. Some can be just sold to me when I'm in the back. No, you're not gonna do it.
yes. That's
Alright, Mrs. Walsh, you can tell us about the.
Wait, I'm sitting here.
First thing.
Point of information. That's all you say. It's the not crazy enough, we don't need a recording.
What?
Somebody asked you, I thought you can vote on it, you vote it down and you go to one.
Sit things up, come on, yeah.
Because right now, a story.
The person who, excuse me, the person who's handling that, camera there, who is it, please?
It was off. It was off. It is.
don't argue with me, it's that.
Take it down, take it down.
Well, he couldn't take our executive session, so he needed to.
Come on, Bender.
Unplug it there, remember, from whatever, from the wall.
I don't know my position is.
Okay.
All right, we met in executive session, we discussed the persons who are being recommended by the supervisor for the deputies. We didn't take any votes because no votes or motions could be taken in executive session.
Okay, motion, I move that we vote on it.
I'd like to finish with the second one. We all did, it was an early coming at 3:30. We also discussed the 2014 election calendar. That too, no votes could be taken in executive session, and we had lively discussion about that and some great suggestions about what we would do to move the process along. Now, Mr. West.
Okay, I move that we vote on a supervisor recommendation by Clark.
Second. Object.
Objection, Member Bellato O'Neill.
I'd like to amend the motion.
Let Member Bellato O'Neill give
My
her.
objection is because I feel like it was stated before that we should vote individually on the merit of the person and not throw everybody in the same basket. So I am in favor of both people, but I'm not voting in a block.
Member Bryan,
Divide the question, so moved.
excuse me?
Divide the question, so moved.
Second.
We need some paper.
Point of information.
Member Ross.
On the motion, can someone explain to me what that means?
Divide the
We're
question.
gonna
In other words, you
vote
vote
on
an
whether you want it for a
individual
block.
candidate. You vote on one deputy,
And then
next
another.
deputy after.
Individually,
You're not voting
One at a
for
time.
the-
Not voting in a,
like you wanted.
so we need some papers, you have papers then? Ballots?
No, we don't fix it.
No ballots? No
No
ballots, okay.
Secret ballot. Motion.
Madam Chair,
So,
Member Daniel,
I'm still confused on what just happened. Member
Webster,
Webster voted in black, it was second.
he moved, yeah.
Member Bryan amended to
I
whatever.
object.
No,
So,
Member Bellato objected,
Objected to.
right,
because she thought everybody should vote.
so is that motion lost?
No.
you want
So,
I amended his
he amended
motion.
his motion.
To divide the question.
So you vote if you want to do it in block or you want to do it together?
Okay.
I mean separate.
Okay,
So that's what we're voting on.
okay.
Motion.
There's a motion on the floor.
I get you.
The motion will be to approve the St. Croix District Deputy Supervisor, so moved. Second.
Okay, that's all that I want to, that's all that,
Because the motion is a completely different motion from Member Webster's motion.
Mr. Watson made a motion.
Right.
Member Bryan made, but it's a basically a substitute motion, but he amended the motion. We need to dispose of Member Bryan's motion as to whether we're going to vote.
That's what we are going to get ready to
No
do.
objection. There was no objection. The objection was from.
Well, then the
when
chair,
she objected to the block.
then the chair needs to rule that the motion is on order because there was no objection. I didn't hear none of those things.
So that's what kind of.
We're going to vote whether we want to vote all together for the candidates or separately. That's the motion that's on the floor.
To divide the question.
Yes,
That's the amended motion.
that had no
The
objection.
amendment, okay, so that was,
Madam Chair, all you need to do is to add the quorum being present, no objection.
So now there was no objection, so that's now we need to go and vote for each
okay,
individual
okay,
person.
the amendment to their motion, without objection, is so ordered. Roll call on the original motion. The original motion is to accept the recommendations of the supervisor for the deputy supervisors for St. Thomas and St. John District, St. John District, and St. Croix District. For the record, Madam Supervisor, can you put the names on the record, please, for the district?
St. Croix District is Genevieve.
But wait a minute,
Madam
please.
Chair,
Member Daniel?
I'm still losing.
I
Should
thought we were
vote on
voting.
Member Bryan's first?
We did, it was by
There was
so
no
order,
objection.
it was not objection.
Okay, so that one is gone. So now we vote on the
Member
motion
Webster.
as amended?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
That's ABC. Did you let him amend his motion?
Yeah, you divided the
Change your
question.
question, okay?
So we're voting for one person for St. Croix and one person for St. Thomas St. John. We're not voting for all 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 together.
Right.
That's what we're voting on now.
Oh, I understand that, but I mean, I thought you were, since it was your motion.
No,
But anyway, let's go ahead, let's go ahead.
He said he
That's
did
right.
it early.
Right?
Remember Ross?
Once the chair ruled that Member Bryan's motion is in order, it basically cancels his motion because it's everybody.
Because there was negative and positive
Member
motion.
Bryan's motion is the one that was read. Proceed.
For the St. Croix district is Genevieve Whitcomb, and for the St. Thomas district is Nettie Barbell.
Barbara. Okay, first roll call is on the St. Croix supervisor.
Deputy.
I'm sorry, deputy.
Ready.
Member Shelton is absent. Member Georges,
Yes.
Member Monsanto,
Yes.
Member Hendricks,
Yes.
Member Daniels,
Yes.
Member Wells,
Yes.
Member Watlington absent. Member Bellardo,
Yes.
Member Webster, Member Harris Moorhead is absent. Member Molinar,
Yes.
Member Bryan,
Yeah.
Member Ross,
Yeah.
Member Williams, yes. 11 yeas, 3 absent. The next motion is to the St. Thomas District Deputy Supervisor, Member Deja Barbell. Roll call, Member Bisholte is absent. Member Georges,
Yes.
Member Monsanto,
Yes.
Member Hendricks,
Yes.
Member Daniel,
Yes.
Member Wells,
Yes.
Member Watlington absent. Member Villardo,
Yes.
Member Webster,
Yes.
Member Moorhead absent. Member Molinar,
Yes.
Member Bryan,
Yeah.
Member Ross,
Not voting.
Member Williams, yes. Madam Chair, we have 10 yeas, 1 abstain, and 3 absent.
The effective date? The effective date for the deputy.
Well,
I'm asking you this.
A motion.
Member Bryan?
The motion is the effective date of these 2 deputy supervisors should be effective this date, October 3rd, 2013.
Is there a second? There's no second, and there was an objection?
Object.
There's no motion on the floor. Member Ross?
The objection was.
You said objection?
Madam-
And Member Bellardo?
Madam Chair, there's a motion on the floor, did Member Bryan make a motion?
There's a second. Nobody's second.
Oh, okay, no, that don't mean the motion is lost, you
No, there was no second.
The motion wasn't lost.
There was no second.
The motion was not
There
lost.
was no second, so there's no.
Yes, there is.
Who said second?
Second.
Yes, I did.
Member Daniel said second?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, you did.
The Daniel said second.
Discussion on the motion.
Well, yeah,
There were 2 objections.
my objections has to do, it's a procedural objection. I believe that the
Supervisor.
deputy supervisors, candidates need to be notified of the action of the board. They need to put their acceptance on the record, and it's only after they have accepted that a date can be established, because for the sake of discussion, one of the candidates we approve may decide that they're no longer interested. But how can we put a date on NOPA until we know that, yes, they're willing to accept the job?
I didn't mention the NOPA at all.
Well,
Member, I understand what you're saying, but I wasn't thinking about a NOPA. I just meant a date that we would say going forward, that I understand what you mean, because you have to accept, and then we have to do as accept.
so my objection is a procedural objection.
Okay.
That the
Member
supervisors
Bellardo, just a minute.
No,
My
fine.
objection, Madam Chairman, is the fact that you said, Member Bryan said the third is today. How can we put somebody on a NOPA as effective date of today if one of them is even off island and the other, well, whether she's here or not, we cannot start a person of today. So it would have to be another date other than today.
Mrs. Fox?
No, I have a point of order. What he says correct. When you all had the meeting on the 9th of July, you came out of the meeting, you called me, and I said I accept. That's not the NOPA date.
No.
That's the acceptance of the third. And so the third will be correct. It's a telephone call with individual at 12 o'clock, as well as call me on the 9th of July, and I accepted on the phone. That's how you do it.
And
Then when I
so-
come back, I said, these are my start dates. That's how the process works.
Member Brian?
You know, it seems as though people want to believe that a few of us have a monopoly on procedures. I've been in the military. This is facts, retired colonel. Captain O'Neill or Major O'Neill knows. When you get an order cut for your promotion day, you don't tell them it's accepting when you get a promotion. We appointed people all over the world, whether in the States and China and Japan. And if we pay for them to come here, these two ladies from right in the Virgin Islands, he's telling them they applied. They were notified they were selected. Mr. Williams' committee went through the interview. They know they were selected. And which person here don't believe that they know that up to now they didn't want the job? Then I said, so unless we receive a notice from this issue, I'm not interested in the job anymore. We don't have no reason not to get an appointment. That's what we're in the problem. We have all your discussion in executive session. If we vote for a person to be in a position, that should be the position. So if we want to vote it down, that's my motion.
Restate your motion.
The motion for the NOPA, for the employment date, for notification be October 3rd, 2013.
What is it?
Miss, our supervisor has a correction. Mrs. Fox?
That's a notification date. not-
Notification, that's no.
Very my motion.
But I'm asking for, that's what
My
my
motion ain't about notifying. My motion is about appointment date. People be appointed be all over the place. Notification.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Sit down then.
You know,
Yeah,
I did.
but I need Member Brian to tell me the motion, so I can write it.
I said it 3 times, Mr. Williams. Say it again. My motion is that these two ladies' appointment date reflect October 3rd, 2013. Unless one you tell them they say they want the job, no, that is the appointment date. That's all it is.
Alright,
If you
Roll
vote it
call,
down, put it
roll
down.
call on the motion.
excuse me. Mr. Daniel, Member Daniel, you're seconding that motion?
Yeah.
Okay, roll call on the motion. You have motion paper there, Member?
Yeah, I written it up.
Right.
I do it and then okay, roll call.
We're voting on the motion that the date for the appointment date be October 3rd, 2013, for the two persons.
Member LaShalta, absent. Member Claudia Georges.
Yes.
Member William
Yeah.
Monsanto.
Yes.
Ruma.
When you gonna be out to all the time?
That the
Member Lydia Hendricks.
The NOPA.
Member Hendricks.
One more time.
Yes.
Member Hendricks? Yes. Member Daniels?
Yes.
Member Wells?
No.
Member Washington, absent. Member Velardo?
No.
Member Webster?
This is the appointment date.
Appointment
Not the
date.
employment date.
Appointment.
Yes, yes.
NOPA is
Mr.
today.
Man, you say yes?
Roll call. Yes?
Yes, yes.
Member Harris Moyer is absent. Member Molinar?
Yes.
Member Bryan?
There.
Member Ross?
No.
And Member Williams, no. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, 4 days, and 3 absent.
Motion.
Member Brian.
The next motion is for the board, joint board, to have corrected date of the supervisor election to remain at the 12th, and for she to be compensated accordingly, and be compensated for any training related to election system. So moved.
Second.
Amendment.
Member Georges.
Yeah, the amendment is, after we consult with the director of personnel.
Second to that.
Okay, let's vote on the amendment first, that we consult with the Director of Personnel regarding Member Brian's motion as to Supervisor Fox, Noper. So we're voting on the amendment.
I need to be very clear, Madam Chair.
I think they're very clear.
I want to make it clear on the record. I want to take it, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
My motion, if the supervisor election, he compensated for her travels and training and hotel costs when she attended the Savannah Election System Convention. That's my motion. The personnel director have nothing to do with that salary.
The amendment is made, we voted on the
So-
amendment. We'll either vote the amendment up or down.
The amendment
You understand
speaks-
your motion?
What I'm saying, Mrs. George is speaking about consulting with the director of personnel. What is the need to consult with the personnel director about salary?
That was when,
Because we understand that the appointment date originally was October 12th.
it was on the chair, I
Yeah,
have a next.
Can I get a point of clarification? Okay, compensation for what period? What are the dates? So
The period of travel
What were the dates?
12 to the
from
9.
the 12th
September?
to the 19th.
August?
August 12th to August 19th.
You're clear.
Election System Convention in Savannah, Georgia, 2013.
Let me make sure I want this.
Member Georgia?
When we were in executive, well, I'm not supposed to. read
Exactly.
that, but I'll say this much, wasn't there a change in the NOPA that Member Brian had brought our attention? Which
Yes.
means that she would not have been paid
For that-
for the same period of
Exactly.
time.
Go back to the director.
Well, if the NOPA had remained, I'm just restating, had remained the way it was.
She would have been
of
paid for
course,
that
that we
period of time.
probably paid her.
But the salary would have
Except
been
that
incorrect.
no two members absent a quorum present can change an
So then that
appointment date.
means, well, then that means.
The original number should stand at 12th.
Okay,
I mean,
then.
the date.
I agree with
Right,
you,
okay.
but what I'm saying is, the reason why I am proposing an amendment is just in the event that the procedure, obviously, there was a change, as you stated.
But who
change with
authorized the
two-
change?
Exactly,
There's
with two
nobody here.
members, so that means how do we get this fixed?
Well, we fixed
So
it now
coming right
because
back to get.
The amendment, let's vote on the amendment, please.
the
By asking
Personnel
for
action
the
number.
personnel director's advice.
Excuse me, the amendment is that we use the personal director's expertise in this matter.
he alone,
That's the amendment to the motion. We're voting on the amendment.
Mr.
Roll call on the amendment.
No, no, no.
Roll call on the amendment. Roll call on the amendment.
How does the director of personnel determine?
That's her amendment.
Who changed the
Well,
number?
right?
Yeah,
August what?
Who changed the number? The director of personnel, we.
They have to sign it.
I know, but who changed it?
No, nobody has changed it.
But nobody gave him a chance to know to change it.
No, nothing has been changed because she has
Okay,
no
what you
more.
said.
We're doing the roll call on the amendment.
Roll call.
Roll call on the amendment. Thank
Shelby,
you.
absent, for the judges,
Yes.
Member Sanders, Member Hendricks, I'm sorry,
Not voting.
So it was great.
Member Daniels,
Abstain.
Member Wells,
Yes.
Member Watlington, absent, Member Belardo,
No.
Member Webster,
Yes.
Member Harris Moorhead is absent, Member Mullenor, Member Bryan,
And the amendment to the motion?
amendment to the motion,
No.
But I'm just.
Member Ross,
Yeah.
Member Williams here. 5 days, 3 days, motion carries, 3 absent.
So the motion, excuse me, the motion as amended is that we will check with the personnel director so that corrective number could be done for the supervisor. I'm just making it more concise of what was said. Roll call on the motion as amended. That was,
That's under your motion.
oh, okay.
Roll call on the motion. The motion is the original, the amended motion is to, have this, to the supervisor of elections to be compensated for all travel expenses that she, incurred from August 12th to the 19th 2013 to the Election Center Conference in Savannah, Georgia. The amendment says that relative to our personnel NOPA, the board is agreeing that we'll check with the personnel director to see if we can have the NOPA corrected to have our start date move from August 19 to August 12. Roll call.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was the first one. Member Michelle, absent. Member Georges?
Yes.
Member Monsanto?
Yes.
Member Hendricks?
I have something.
Abstain. Member Daniels?
Abstain.
Member Wells?
No.
Member Washington is absent. Member O'Neill?
Yes.
Member Webster?
Yes.
Member Harris is absent. Member Molinar?
Yes.
Member Bryan?
Yeah.
Member Ross?
Yeah.
Member Williams, yes. 8 yeas, 1 nay, and 2 abstain, 3 absent. The motion carries.
Okay.
I'd
I'd like to have, Member Ross, Member Bryan, Member Georges, and I to meet with the personnel director and of course Mrs. Fox. Member Bryan, you had a motion? I can see it after
After the
the
motion. My motion is to the board to decide that we don't cancel the meeting after the notification of the joint board, but phone calling individuals and sending out releases for lack of a quorum. We can't have a lack of a quorum until meet this call to order. We must find another way for people who don't want to come to the meeting rather than we call them on the phone. So my motion is my motion is clear that when we have meetings scheduled, that before we cancel a meeting for lack of a quorum, first the meeting must have been called to order. So moved.
discussion. So that means that we would travel on the government's money, get the tickets to get wherever we should be, and there would be only 3 of us there.
Having heard no objection, the motion is carried, you know. You have to get, then you could discuss that afterwards.
I didn't hear you.
We didn't hear, what do you call the word? We didn't hear objection, so that's just the motion.
Member Ross?
Object.
Objection, okay. So I can continue. So we would buy the tickets, go to the seaplane in Either Island, 3 or 4 of us that would come, and then we get here after spending the government's funds to find out there's no meeting. Is that sort of clear what you're saying? Member Bryan?
Madam Chair, that's what you said.
But how else can we do that?
Let me explain how we could do it.
I know, I'm aware that you have to come to a meeting to, call a meeting to order to know whether you have a quorum. I agree with that, I know that. It's in Robert's rules. But so that we can save this money, unless we change the bylaws now, to so we can meet by video conference or telephone. So please help me here with this.
Okay, motion.
Member Bryan, Member Bryan.
Let me finish, please.
There's a motion.
What I'm saying, Title 18 is clear to me, and anybody read it. It says, joint board meeting can meet and make decision once they have a quorum. A quorum.
Excuse me, excuse
A
me,
quorum means.
excuse me,
That's one.
please.
That's one.
Let's have a 2-minute recess, please. A 2-minute recess, thank you. 2-minute recess. Member, right here.
Okay, I'll turn all the documents. Any questions about my description?
Wow.
Okay, I can talk about it. How many police here?
You don't have to share that guy's got on the name. I'm guessing.
We got all the forms, so.
I think
I carry enforcement.
Yes.
And when they...
I think the answer is yes.
I don't want to be bothered.
When I came back to see boy, I said, well, then you can be able to get out there. You must
You can read a little of that, I don't want to read it. I mean, they always I pass this back to Wilma. Wilma pass it to me and I pass it back. This one is showing me over. All you have to do is
But you didn't have to give it to the mark percentage.
And I even said to you, give it to me, I'll give it to her. And you try not.
We're back in session, members. The Sabanero kids are back in session. Back in session, thank you. Please note, excuse me, members, we're back in session. We're back in session. Let the record show that member Watlington is now here. Thank you very much. I would like to thank member Williams for doing the secretarial duties of the board in the absence of member Watlington.
Okay, you're in the sub?
Yes.
Where we know, we have
We just voted. No, we do have you walk to the door. We're not going to stay after you go down. We need to do that. No. But my brother has a question of you about each last episode. No, I didn't say you should do it. I said you can sure I have a question.
I give it to the
Member Williams, Member Georgia, and Member Marshall, we'd like to start. Thank you very much.
Yes,
That's right. The
The motion on the floor, Member Williams.
I just unfortunately.
Who was making the motion, Member Bryan? What was your motion?
My motion was before we can cancel
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
joint board meetings, we must first have called a meeting to order, and we started saying we will have 3 or 4 people travel and waste some money, and they started to respond money to stop them. Great. So I'm saying,
Now with the motion, I just need a motion, please. I just want to call it what the motion is.
the motion is Mr. Washington, good afternoon, that in order to cancel a meeting for lack of a quorum, a meeting must be first called to order.
And it was, I was thinking about it because I was talking about,
Raising the motion, or you have?
I spoke about it, it was,
Nothing else you say,
She could use
but she already was, I know she started.
I don't know.
I started to speak to the motion about, yes, Member Daniel, you second? Who second? Molinar second? Member Molinar? All right.
I have discussion, Madam.
And, Member Bellato, the O'Neill?
Madam Chairman,
Member Bellato, the O'Neill?
Madam Chairman, I am voting in favor of the motion because I feel that when you or whoever cancel the meeting says, the meeting has been canceled because there's no quorum, and I am willing to go, and I am ready to go, or I'm even there, I should not be put in the same basket to say there was no quorum, when 4 of us from St. Croix were willing to travel to St. Thomas, and then the meeting has canceled because there's no quorum. So when you say there's no quorum, you put in all of us in the same basket, and the media is gonna say no quorum without saying, okay, we had 4 people from St. Croix ready to go, or 4 people from St. Thomas ready to go, but these other people were absent or couldn't come.
But then there was no quorum.
Madam Chair.
This is why
You need to have members from both districts
Madam
to
Chair.
make a joint board meeting. So all of the, if 7 came from St. Croix, and we had none from St. Thomas, it still would be no meeting. Because we shouldn't have the quorum. So the media should ask before they're gonna write what they want, their job is to sell paper.
The motion is before a meeting is cancelled, Madam.
I see Member Bryan there.
The motion is to do what before a meeting is cancelled?
Meet before you, don't call, and don't wait to call that
The
time.
motion is to,
Member Bryan is right there.
Everybody gone now.
until I understand it right. Listen, you're my teacher. Until I understand why I need to write, then I can ask.
I wrote and I told you that we don't cancel meetings for lack of a quorum before a meeting is called to
The
order.
motion is to disallow the cancellation of meetings before they are called to order. That motion, and you rule it in order?
Yes, and then Member Molinar is the one who seconded, and we're having discussion on the motion. But now the quorum is gone, so what should be called here now?
Look, are you playing games?
Second
Okay,
motion.
I don't know the
The school better. Who won't keep going, you know? Where? Foolish is I doing, I ain't serious. Because they ain't serious, this man just come and he's playing game, I'm playing game, but I'm playing.
Come back.
I ain't serious.
There's so many things here to do.
Three of us stay.
To waste time with them, foolish is I.
Let them waste their time, but don't
It's
break the
never been like
That's
that.
not even a proper motion.
How you come before with a proper
I
motion?
said I have my opinion, okay?
That's your opinion, but your opinion is nothing.
I say it's not a proper.
We come, we discuss the motion on the chair.
Yes, we
When I
will.
discuss the motion, let me explain the motion.
No, I don't think so, it's seen that way.
No, but if you have your meeting, it's not here, so then the people say, they're supposed to have.
Well, people call, they say they're not coming.
No, you have no right to.
Yes, I do, exactly what I have a second of it.
Proper motion, we call the chair. You call
You
it.
could, and I went to postpone, I said postpone, not cancel. Then we're discussing it.
Okay.
So, and I disagree with, Member Bellato, because what the media print, they sell paper. If persons have called me and said, I cannot go to St. Croix, or I cannot go to St. Thomas because of whatever. So I'm not gonna be there. And another person called another person. Why would we spend money when we know we don't have enough people? Because we need X amount of persons from both districts to have the joint board meeting. We have to have at least 3 from St. Thomas, and you could have 5 from St. Croix, you could have 7 from St. Croix. Person from St. Thomas. Well, I'm gonna wait because I know not to speak while somebody else is speaking.
Madam Chairman, I agree with you, but
She doesn't
what you're saying is, have that survey before you announce the joint meeting. Did you announce the joint meeting and then you cancel?
The meeting was, the first meeting was the 19th. The 19th was the meeting. Look at today, the third. Say what nobody, some persons on here.
If somebody has the authority to call a meeting, they have the authority to cancel.
That's right.
How is it that a motion, how are you going to determine that you can, to disallow a cancellation, and correct me if I'm wrong, disallow cancellation of a meeting before a quorum is established? That's what I have in my motion. And that's exactly why I understand that you're discussing.
You right now, you understand me, sir?
Well, that's why you have to understand. I don't know why you understand.
So this allow
Yeah, the cancellation.
Postponement of
postponement, okay,
Of
of a meeting, joint board meeting, before a quorum is
meeting
established.
is called to order, and a quorum have not been established. You talking, you listen to what I say.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm
Is
saying.
that my motion, and let you speak?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I was speaking on it, I was speaking, and I'm saying.
Well, when I finish,
I am saying, yeah.
Over here.
I have time from the chair, I have the time from the chair.
Yes, and then Senator Belada, he's member Belada, and something else.
I don't see
Then
how
member.
that could ever be a proper motion before this board. Because in fact, a chairperson can cancel or postpone a meeting based on change of circumstances. Anything could happen, 5 of us could die. And if 5 of us die, and it's clear that no quorum could be established, you have to still call the meeting to come to say that 5 people died? What are we doing? Why are we having this kind of stupidness? I don't like postponement here, but I went court today, and the court had to postpone the trial because there were certain things that happened. Nobody does it. But that's all right.
Been in court.
Yeah, but those things gonna happen. Things gonna happen.
Been in court.
Why is it, how is it that you can say that a chairperson cannot make a determination once it is called that it is set for life?
And that's it.
Okay, that's my opinion.
Member
That's my
Belada?
position.
Can we have a roll call?
I need to speak on the
No,
question.
you have something to say, member Belada, then member Bryan.
Madam Chairman,
You want to move the previous question and
No, I have, I want to
Excuse me.
say, could I
Well, I've
clarify?
already stated that once you call a meeting, people should be coming to the meeting.
Should is the operative
We
word.
all were elected to serve, and I
True.
think that if we cannot serve, then let's resign from the board.
Well,
But,
that's
you
the
know, you
deal.
call, and it's a
I know the
joint
previous
meeting.
So, member Bryan?
You see what?
Member Bryan?
Can I speak?
Member Bryan?
When you started earlier, you said, are we going to spend money on airline tickets for 3 or 4 of us to come from St. Thomas?
Or St. Croix.
Or St. Croix? And then I'll give you many instances. Every joint board meeting was scheduled in St. Thomas. We had more than 3 or 4 of us, according to the code, attending a travel for the meeting. The last time 4 of us was coming, Ms. Johnson said that you called her and told her the meeting is postponed for lack of a quorum. We went and we had checked in. When Ms. Johnson called the airline and checked us out the plane and wrote a letter telling them she is the only person authorized to make and cancel board members' appointment. I have the letter here. I was already checked in. You know what I had to do, Madam Chair? The guy, I think from Punta, he said, Ms. Johnson said, I can't travel. I said, well, how much I have to pay? I paid him my own money and I went to St. Thomas. When I got over
To the
there,
election office?
that's right, yes.
To the meeting that was postponed?
Yes.
I went because
Excuse me, she said you were already done with your part. Let's remember.
I was in St. Thomas when I went upstairs. Miss Benjamin was gone, Dola. Miss Bendo was gone, Dola. You know what? Sit up and said another room. And I find it hard to believe, to accept that 4 of us at least was coming to St. Thomas, to a joint board meeting in St. Thomas, and then all of a sudden, 7 people from Cinema St. Jack in available for meeting 3. Because the last stage, you know, once you have 8 people,
Ross just told me.
at least 3 members from each district, once you have 8 members present, makes a quorum to make decisions.
I was saying that all day today.
Okay, so then, if that is the case, I don't want to be put in a category that when you schedule a meeting, a phone call, somebody said they're coming, and the people in the budget who voted for us don't know which one of us ain't coming to meeting all the time. Mr. Boshato made it clear he going to the giant board meeting. He coming, and if the meeting the man, all I know is Mr. Hospital, you don't come in the man, you don't want to. So I'm saying, I don't believe that I should be lumped in the barrel of those people who you call on the phone to say they're coming. If you want to postpone a meeting, come with another explanation. Like Mr. Butler said, 5 I dead over there, and we can't come. But tell the people who said and who can't send them coming after they know, because the laws and rules said you must post and send out agendas for the media and the public.
But you said if the person can't come, they have to give me an explanation.
Well,
They were elected.
you let me finish, madam. I'm saying that I can understand if you have an ill, a death, or some emergency. You can't just don't want to come to me because you don't want to be present to vote for or against something. That has happened here all the time.
Well,
and if that is the case, that is the basis of my motion, because we've been violating the very law. But keeping giant board means not under the guise that you already had them into trouble. And we were coming. So if we come and you don't have an excuse, so if you come today now, why are we going around the bush? So don't do something the right way, and we'll have so many things to address, and we're just playing games all back and forth. I believe a meeting cannot be cancelled for the word of a lack of a quorum. Only the meeting being called together. You can find any comic book you want or that book right there. You cannot cancel a meeting for lack of a quorum after the roll has been called to determine if a quorum was present or not. And you can discuss without a quorum provided they can make decisions. That's what the book says. So why are we wasting time?
we're voting on the motion.
As a matter of fact, we were supposed to approve before the legislature of finance hearing. And on 2 occasions, you told us and Mr. Graham that you couldn't come because you were African. That's fine. We changed the date again to the August Sunday. You're going to be African again. We come back again with Sharon Benjamin just catch herself that she is the acting supervisor. She wrote this appointed Tammy asked the spot to come. And these are games we play. So we are here.
We're going to vote on your motion?
Sure.
All right.
That's what I want on the record.
That will call
I
it.
would like to make a statement, please.
So he will make an
No, we need to.
But I would like to correct the record.
Yeah, correct what I said.
Right?
Well,
Because I want it again and the record clear, because Brian is stating
You know, sir,
something
Brian
about Brian,
Good, thank you.
that Sharon Benjamin was the acting supervisor. This board never appointed Sharon Benjamin
I did
as
not
the
say she
acting
was.
supervisor.
I could show that on March 20th and
Never,
20th.
I'm saying,
You know straight up on me. Don't say things you don't know. Don't say things you
They
don't
don't need to
know.
appreciate
Let us vote on the motion.
What he said, we can That's what happened.
Deputy supervisor.
That was not really appreciated by here. After the meeting was
Please let us
adjourned,
vote on the
after the
motion.
meeting was adjourned.
Recess, please. Recess, Mrs. Corson.
Are you recent going to get that?
He don't get that fully, but he didn't get it.
Go back and read the argument. You can just.
Okay.
We are at a recess. We are at a recess. So we're not recess.
The recess is what I want. He knows what to do. I didn't say great.
We don't.
I will tell you what part of the next
I
But I'm saying, Madam Chair,
We're at recess.
don't have to time up the recess.
Well,
I ain't giving the retarded, but we cannot get the impression that Ms. Benjamin was legally and officially put the position. Your meeting was adjourned. After the meeting was adjourned, I said, you are right, I put the question. This gentleman said, reconvene. How can you reconvene an adjourned meeting without the agenda being put forward? We went ahead and voted. That's why I was there. I am telling you, I have documentation from Mr. Clifford Graham to Sharon Benjamin, supervisor of elected. Was not
So he
until
couldn't make an error.
if you make a real treated because it was only after she was instructed to come to the budget hearing, she kept herself and read Mr. Graham said, tell me,
But she's not in here, so I don't want to discuss.
Why to discuss
I don't
it?
discuss when the person is there.
Well, she come to tell her car, let me tell her her face.
but we have the appointment as to what we appointed as.
I'm not disputing who you are
A
appointing.
minute
I'm
is
saying that
gone.
you,
A minute is gone.
you can be in the middle of the job.
Excuse me?
Chair reconvening.
No, she can't.
Excuse me, excuse me, we're voting on the amendment.
All right.
We're back on the record
Ready,
with,
Steve? All right, Lawrence, Larry, Bashomdi.
Point about a quorum card.
Koronka.
Okay, here. You have three of us here. I also want to make sure to make a
Okay.
decision. Right?
Lawrence, Larry Benjamin, absent. Gloria Georges.
Yes.
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 Roma Marsh Monsanto.
Yes.
Lydia Hendricks. Mr. Harry Daniels.
Yeah, I vote yes.
You go in yes?
Yeah.
That's 3. Alicia Wells.
no,
Arturo Watlington. No. Liana Velada de O'Neill.
Yes.
4. Glenn Webster, absent. Lisa Moorhead, absent. Ronald Molina, absent. Delbert Ryan,
Here.
Rupert Ross,
No.
Raymond Williams, absent. Madam Chair, 5 yeas, 3 nays.
Correction. 5 years, 3 nays. Motion passed.
Let's move on then.
Next motion.
Member Bryan.
Point of information, Madam Chair. We have an agenda here that is 100 numbers long. Are we ever going to get any part of this?
We'll see, depending on the members.
Same hotels first.
It's up to the members. You still,
Well, that don't mean I can stay here all night.
No.
Okay, I have a motion.
you still need to get Mr. Bryan's report on that.
Can we
No
move
McDonald's.
it?
My motion, Madam Chair, is that
Madam Chair, you didn't give me a definitive answer.
I said it's up to the members. It's
That
our
if-
agenda.
if we
It's
don't-
not that you have it.
Oh, it's
not
our
that
agenda?
Give it up, yes.
Oh,
Once we all have it, it's our agenda.
I have to say, what's the sense of doing an agenda if you never stick to it?
Well, we have a motion.
Moving it to the agenda, but that's
We
what
have
I'm
a
hearing
motion
all
and then
day,
we move it to the agenda.
since 3 o'clock, we've
What
been
time
getting
is
a
it?
motion and said this.
What time?
All right, I know what
Is
it is.
now,
Go ahead.
McDonald's.
Go ahead, Madam Chair.
3:58. Member Bryan?
I will hold the motion. Call it up.
Okay, since we changed executive session,
No, no.
and that was, see, we're back now to, your president to do. So we can, and is there any more business to be discussed?
I don't come back.
Member Daniel,
No.
we're going through the agenda as you asked.
Yes.
C,
Point of order.
Member Ross,
We did not dispose of the other issue that we discussed in executive session.
Calendar.
So I recommend to the chair, since it's a minor issue that we dispose of it for the record, so we can proceed with the rest of the agenda.
so Member Ross, would you like to make a motion to that effect? How we should
you move
dispose?
into, what the,
Well, so that, for the sake of those who may have forgotten what we did, we discussed the 2014 election calendar, and in the absence of someone to report on it, I made a report to the board that it is my understanding that Senator Graham has a bill before the legislature, and I was about to get the number, etc., but the internet system doesn't work in this room. We're somewhere around the 15th, or the middle of this month, they intend to change the primary date of the 30th legislature from the date established by the 29th legislature of the 2nd of August to sometime in July. And if that is done, then obviously the board would have to revisit the calendar that a subcommittee had worked on and prepared for this meeting. And then I also reported that the calendar that the subcommittee had worked on had used August the 9th as a primary date rather than August the 7th. For those reasons, I therefore move that we defer action on the calendar, 2014 calendar, until after the legislature has acted and establishing the primary date.
That's a motion?
Yeah, you said they were going to
That's my
move in
motion.
December,
Okay.
after December 15th?
October the 15th.
October 15th, I'm sorry.
That we
A
defer
motion that you defer any action on the calendar until the
legislature
legislature.
have established the primary date.
Okay.
As discussed and established the primary date.
Amendment to the motion.
I asked you, right?
Yes, and then, Member Brown.
I agree partially with I agree with Mr. Ross, partially, but I think most importantly, it is not the primary date that we should be even concerned about, but more so the common filing date. Because yes, regardless of when if they move the primary to July, we have proposed and recommend to the legislature that the common filing date be the first week of May, which they have not acted upon. If in fact they do move it to whatever date or any date earlier in the year than the first Saturday of August, then our recommendations need to be clear to the legislature that we will require at least 75 days before their primary date. So it is important not only that we be concerned about the primary, but they have to by law set the common filing date, not we. We can't set it once they change the primary, and I have also been talking to Mr. Senator Graham about it, and other senators urging them that right now we are less than a year out from the proposed primary, and closer up in just about 7 months, 8 months from the proposed common filing date. And we need to, again, I think we may need to again put things in writing to them, indicating that action is needed immediately to act on this thing. Because they shouldn't even now be trying to change the primary date, because it even puts us farther behind the 8 ball.
If I may, please.
Member Brown?
You know, I want to make sure that these decisions are made between the compliance and the consent decree. Consent decree is clear. And I just heard Mr. Member Waddington mention, he said, we have submitted. What document he said we submitted to the legislature?
The one that was approved by this board, that we write this. The only provision that this board unanimously approved, that I write to the legislature and give them the recommended date, the common filing date, which I did before the end of May as directed, and was in compliance with the consent decree. It was written to the President, Senator Sean Malone. He has receipt of it, and you got a copy of it from Ms. Tricia Johnson when you asked.
Excuse me, please.
Oh, she said that she gave you a copy.
All right. No. I'm asking if I can be prepared, because I saw different correspondence making reference to what Member Waddington is speaking about. He said we. So if you have it here, which we are going to see it, and that is your...
Oh, yes, you're asking
You said you would be...
I wrote it on behalf of the board, as was requested and directed.
I'm not disputing that. You said that.
We'll get
Miss, you have a copy?
Okay. So because are you saying that it will take the consent decree? Right?
Yeah. We were supposed to make sure that we put our recommendations to the legislature before the 1st of June.
That's all I just want to make sure we speak within the confinement of the consent decree. Because I know that Mr. Ross and Ms. Moorhead was put this Monday again and discussed the same thing yesterday, where the ship would meet now postponing anything until we get the legislature back. So we need to let the legislature to know and understand that the consent decree requires to act within a certain time. Because I'm hearing Mr. Malone and others making mention for a session, and they're going to just address one portion. We need to meet with the President of the legislature and his group, or the committee as a whole, to make representations of what our other interested changes would be.
My understanding was that, and you were there at the budget hearing, and I know you heard me emphasize to them how important it is to act on it and to have a committee meeting to act upon. They are talking about having a committee as a whole to discuss election reform.
Right.
We need this common filing date. This is the most pressing reform.
And that's
Madam
what
Chairman, I move the previous question.
I'm saying, you keep saying that. You were talking and a bunch of people are shuffling and take a car. You had nothing right here, you remember that?
You don't remember?
I can't remember all of that.
Previous question has been moved.
I'll bring it
We're back to the motion.
Your question has been moved. Mr. Ross's motion, right?
Yeah, okay, motion to lay the proposed calendar on the table. Can you know, Mr. Ross?
Until
Legislation. Until action by legislation.
Roll call.
Lawrence Bishaldi, absent. Father Georges? Thomas Monsanto?
Yes.
Yes. Lydia Hendricks? Harry Daniel?
Yes.
Alicia Wells?
Yes.
Drew Watlington? Yes. Liliana Bellardo? Dale Neal?
Yes.
Glenn Webster? Absent. Lisa Harris Moorhead? Absent. Adelbert M. Bryan?
Yes, sir.
Rupert Ross Jr.?
Yeah.
Raymond Williams? Absent. Madam Chair? 9 years.
Motion.
The motion is carried.
Motion, Madam Chair.
Member Bryan?
Madam Chair, in light that we just barely have a quorum present, I would like to move item 7, 8, and 9 for the next discussion. So,
You'd like to move 7, 8,
item
and 9 to
7,
what?
8, and 9 as the next item on the agenda to discuss.
Well, the next item would be the supervisor's report, which is part of that.
No, he's moving.
On 7, 8, and 9 to go to another.
No, is there that's a motion you're making?
Yes, sir.
Motion to be on the agenda?
Mrs.
Number
Cox?
7, I need to discuss number 7, because we can't wait another quarter for that.
Yeah, that's what we're moving now. That's what I want to discuss.
Part of your report.
Was it quarter or?
Or I thought we were going to the next meeting.
No. To the next item on this agenda.
Oh, okay. Okay, but it's in my.
That would be on the report.
I amend that motion, Madam Chair.
Member Ross?
Wait, it's
You
not
have a
second.
second.
You have been nobody second.
No, nobody seconded.
No one seconded?
No.
Oh, I like to second it and amend it.
Oh, okay.
My amendment is that we allow the supervisor to give a report.
That's what I was saying, it's
And
part of the
then,
report.
and then we do what is being
Provided
recommended.
nobody can joke on you.
But this,
No, but I said when the motion was made, I said that's part of the supervisor's report. That's the next thing on the agenda.
Wait, just
well,
retry the motion.
what?
Thank you, Member
Just
Bryan.
don't retry the motion.
Well, I'm not,
Mr. Ross.
That's a second.
let me clarify. Under new business, we have 9 items.
Right.
All these 9 items are the supervisor's report.
Exactly, that's what I thought.
They're under her.
That's what you thought. I thought
And
the
I thought-
supervisor's report was independent of all the other 8.
No, I thought she was reporting on all of
My
these.
report,
Correct.
my report has some information in it, except the vans, but I could discuss that. We talked about it at the last both district meeting, but I could tell you what I've done. So it could be summed up under my report.
I really wanted to make 7, 8, and 9 on the supervisor's report. 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's a real.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I just want to get the supervisor's report, and I agree with Senator Bryan, as soon as she's finished, we'll deal with 7, 8, and 9.
Okay.
So what's
So you will do your motion? Member Bryan?
Wait a second.
I withdraw the second.
All right.
If we agree
Mrs.
to that,
Fox?
I withdraw the second.
Again, good afternoon, board members.
Good afternoon.
And I'm honored to be here at the first joint board meeting, and at least being in St. Croix. I'm just saying honored, but it's not the word. It's in St. Croix, so that's a good thing. I'm here to do the right thing and not do the thing right. That's my quote of the day. Each meeting I give a quote of the day. Old business, I have no old business because it was the initial meeting. I do have a copy of my synopsis report. The audit response was submitted to the IG on September 12th. As I discussed yesterday, it cannot be discussed. Unless you have the copy to September 30th. You have a copy of the report in your package. The FY12 closeout, I'd like to give you an expenditure report, but we're still processing some of the payments. So maybe at the next joint board district meeting, I'll let you know what we expended for FY12 in each of the districts. The new fiscal year has started the 1st of October, and our FY14 budget we have received. For St. Thomas, received 71,489. That's 4,844 decrease from last year. In St. Croix, we received 77,818. That's a minus 5,151 from last year. And in the supervisor's budget, we received 1,205,569, which is a decrease from last year of 63,451. Again, I know during the year we do get supplemental, we have federal funding. So again, I don't see it as a cry for work yet. We see what we need to expend as we go down the line. And if we need more 6 months down the road, I think we should get something. But
Member Daniel, had a question?
You know, my concern will not really be like 2 district boards. One gets more than one. I mean, I never learned what's the rationale.
we had a rationale at that meeting, and Mr. Ross has a history, and I'll give you some of the history. So in St. Croix, for one instance, we utilize Clement Transport. We contract with companies to do some of our business. St. Thomas, you go to property and procurement to print your ballots, to do this, to do that. So the funding and some other etc. History. So Mr. Ross will continue, but it's a difference. Yes, we do. And it's over the years, and again, I think Mr. Williams said you used to have more meetings in St. Croix. They asked for more funding over the years. So again, your history helps you. Because if they see you expended that budget last year, they're going to give you based on that, and in addition to your requirements, they will put it. I'll turn it over to Mr. Ross.
Besides that, that is what basically happened, or we continue to allow OMB to dictate how our budget is supposed to be run. The law said, the law states clearly that the election board and the supervisor election submit their budget to the legislature, not the OMB from its Gottlieb and to play around with. And it's there dictated how our budget should be, that the legislature goes along with what OMB said we should have. That's what the whole thing boils down to. So until we start to sum up and let them do that, belongs to us, we have the right to go straight to the legislature. We've all been waiting until Ms. Gottlieb and the governor decide they want to hold the Board of Election and the system as an executive department. Up to now, Ms. Gottlieb and the governor and the Commissioner of Finance have not yet told us what they did with our $2.1 million in bonds and sources for.
Mr. Member Ross?
Oh, I'm interested.
I thought we supervisor giving a report. Are we supposed to know, just question each item by item that she's going to, can we just send a report and then ask questions after?
That's one procedure way. I'm not interested in debating the report. I raised my hand to ask the supervisor whether or not she could provide us with a hard copy of the budget.
I will get that. Right now, all I had was a bill. I had it passed from the legislature because they didn't have it out. But if you look at the Daily News yesterday, they printed every agency, and I'm like, where is election? So I had to call back Senator Graham's office, and I just got the bill, but I'll get you a copy.
If you get a hard copy of it.
That's all I want.
You will get the bill as fast because they change up the document sometimes.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
Mrs.
the issue.
Fox, you can
Wherever
continue.
it is,
We'll get it.
the system.
You'll get it, as soon as I get it, I'll get it to you.
Thank you very much.
Good. National Voters Registration Day, again, this is the first time we've done this event. It's an annual thing in the States. I think it started last year. So on the highlights, St. Thomas, they got 12 registered voters. St. John had 3, and somebody showed up there to look at the machine. St. Croix had East had 6, and West had 1. Again, it'll be more fruitful next year, closer to election time, and trying to get the word out each month as we do registration. But it's a start. Right now, in speaking to Alexa, every 2 weeks I have a teleconference call with her, and she said the acceptance agreement for the DS200 will be signed in November when she returns, because right now St. Croix has to return an automatic machine that got damaged in transportation, and one of the bins. We also discussed additional machines, district chair, so that's why I wanted to make sure I did that up here. And in our meeting, because if you wait for each chair to decide, we're not doing all the calculations right. And Ms. Alexia was here during the last election, based on the numbers. Based on the statistics, the number we got was according to the statistics. It might not be what we need. So in relooking what we need, we came up with 8 additional machines. Mr. Watterson, I think you'll be happy to hear about this. 3 for St. Thomas, for the 3 high polling places that you have. 1 for absentee to be left in the office. So if folks come for absentee, it's remain in that container, and 1 backup. 1 for St. John extra to be able to have a demonstrating machine, and 1 for absentee. And St. Croix is going to get 1 more machine for absentee. Total of 8. What they're going to do is they're going to send me the proposal, and I'll bring it back to the board. Right now, based on the numbers we're buying, you might get a discount. So each machine runs over $6,000. I'm just trying to find out the price for Adamat. Again, it's harbor funds, so we should be able to purchase the additional machines. So that's what I want to make sure we talk about. Cancellations by the boards, again, I need to make that a priority. All the processing has been completed by the employees. So those who can, we actually, set up a schedule, and those that can't come in to cancel, the voters, we need that done. Also, on both districts, review of the polling places, dealing with consolidation, ADA compliant, and public notice. If we do have a process there also, so as soon as you figure out what you're going to consolidate in your districts, I need to know. I have to go and look at them, review for ADA compliance, and then we have to give the public notice of the change. So again, we don't have a lot of time. Everybody think we have time, but the clock is ticking, and we will soon going to be within the 6-month window. Interest fund account, one highlight I'd like to talk about. I'm also updating all the change of names from Mr. Rupert Ross to myself. I went to the bank yesterday, so we need to change supervisor. But in addition to that, we have to change signature authority. I'm recommending to the board that we do chairs of each district, and maybe the 2 deputies and myself are the signature authority and the account until the law is changed, because we have to correct the issue. So I'll prepare a document for the joint chair, if that's what you want to vote on.
How many signatures do you need? 2?
We want 2. We want 2.
Madam Supervisor, you made reference to Rupert Ross and a bank account.
No, I said to change supervisor, the former supervisor. I'm changing supervisors.
I know you did that, but you mentioned my name.
I didn't mention anything. Oh, sorry. Okay. I said
I just want the record to be clear. I have no bank account in the election system.
Impress account.
Supervisor of election.
So I'm changing from the past supervisor to the current supervisor, but the letter has to come from the joint chair and signature authority of who we're going to assign. I'm just recommending this now. So again, you have to debate and tell me whether you agree with that. I'm saying I didn't want it to be the deputies because I don't want to let the supervisor have influence over the deputies and become another question. So I want a district chair on each other. So at least we have 2 signatures on each action. And the interest fund is right now at $1,300, so it's not website update. I provided you with the information reference to your account, but I've updated the website reference to information. The logo has been revised because sometimes we say we're quasi-government and sometimes we're not. So we're trying to get a new image, and take a look at the website, and if you have any information need to be posted on the website, please let me know. We're trying to do that to decrease the number of calls for information, also decrease the number of visits to the office. If you have the information readily available, the public will have access to it. Email addresses effective to the office staff October 1st. No official business will be conducted via personal email. Provided all board members with a copy. You have a 30-day grace period, so if you're corresponding with us, please utilize the government address. Because again, if you have audits, etc., you don't want folks to have access to people's personal information. The computers and the VTC have been approved by Property and Procurement. The companies out of Puerto Rico, we get 18 computers and 1 for each conference room. So that's that. The VTC also is being ordered, and again that's coming out of Puerto Rico, and it'll be 1 on each island. Again, the supervisor and deputy, the deputy supervisor office in St. Croix and the supervisor office has no computer. So what I do is I sometimes use the employee computer, or I use my computer at home. So I'm still letting you know that still I'm without a computer here. We have a mold situation in the office in St. Croix, so we're looking at that assessment and testing. Good news, the Property and Procurement Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Gabriel, visited the office this morning, looking at the expansion space that we're looking into, 2,600 square feet right at the end of our facility. We're trying to tie in with the lease that expires on the 31st. And what I'm doing with that is trying to get our conference room, get our stuff ADA compliant, and also the employees into cubicles. In the present situation, you walk in, you're discussing private information, passport stuff, board paper stuff in an open environment, and that's not conducive. I also have to look at St. John office next, because they too have issues, and again, I can't have my St. Thomas office flush, and I'm over here in St. Croix and St. John without the appropriate facilities.
Correct.
I'll come get you.
I will come in on Tuesday, I'll be there, so you don't have to come and get me.
It's not ADA
I already spoke to the property and procurement person today, and if you could help me, Veterans Affairs or whoever contacts, we need some space at St. John, because they're gonna have a demonstrated machine there permanently, etc. Right, Mr. Chair?
Thank you.
That's what I'm getting, they need to be on
Thank you
par
very
with
much.
us. Okay, I received a petition this week, we're gonna be working on that, Madam Chair. And that one is reference the election of the Attorney General. So we're gonna get on that. Right now, what folks does is you have the Organic Act, and you just quote the Organic Act, but they need some procedures and policies in place. So I'm looking at what other states have, and give them some steps of things they should do. And I'll bring that before the board so you could approve that. Board member training, we started yesterday, but we had a new word. Instead of retreats for the joint board, we talk about advance. A retreat seems to be going backward. That's a card to Mr. Dr. Simon Jones Hendrickson yesterday. So we got to use a new title. So we're advance. We're going to plan our advance sometime in St. John in the next quarter. But we did a St. Croix board training yesterday, especially for the new members. And the first presenter was Dr. Simon Jones Hendrickson, and then I did some training myself. I know you're hearing about it on the news. But he had 3 C's yesterday, and I just want to throw it out today. Communication, collaboration, and cohesiveness. Like I said, his presentation was dynamic. We're going into a new fiscal year, and I'm not here to dwell on the past. I need to go forward. So if you're plowing something in the ground and you keep looking back, your roads will come crooked. So we need to look forward and move forward. St. Thomas Public Reviews, I'm still going through that process. I did 4 days last week. I'll be over there for 3 days next week. I think hopefully they'll be finished in 2 days, and then Thursday the district board meeting. So that's why I tell you the 3 days to be in St. Thomas next week. UPI is also offering some training, ethics training, and I'm mandating 2 persons from the office will be attending. And also the Department of Personnel is also having some professional development. You know, we need to get employees engaged, and everybody think their job is that important, they can't take up time out of training. But training and personal development is important. When the employee goes and leaves, the place is vacant. So they could take that hour or 2 to go to a training, and that's what I'm trying to push for all employees, both districts. And the last thing I had, well, 2 of the employees are not here, but I'll still say, I wanted to thank Ms. Sharon Benjamin and Ms. Tricia Johnson for holding the office in the last 6 months. Again, you know, they did great. I'm happy to come in and meet and to see the position they at. They manage the office, they did as best as they can for the last 6 months. Ms. Benjamin is still my acting deputy. Again, I want you to know that the office has more than just 2 persons. And I'd like you to introduce to my employees. I have a Ms. Milagritos Vincent in St. Thomas, a Ms. Melba Smith in St. Thomas, a Ms. Sherry Richardson in St. Thomas. Ms. Sherry Richardson, Ms. Stephanie Joseph from St. Thomas. And I also like to point out Ms. Smith, Melba Smith, works in St. John 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday, because again we had a call from the Senator's office trying to find out our schedule in St. John. And on St. Croix, I have Ms. Tricia Johnson, Ms. Hewlett Hodge, Ms. Marie Felix. So again, I want you to know the office is more than the 3 names you hear, and we have hardworking, productive people in the election systems. And to end that, the 2 of them was here, but since Ms. Vincent was going back, Ms. Sarah Benjamin was going back early, Ms. Tricia Johnson took her and the attorney to the airport. I'm finishing. So I had 2 presentations for them. So I would like you to take this back to Ms. Benjamin. I'm presenting both of them with a book that says Lean In, women work and the will to lead. Like I said, my goal is to mentor and coach the employees and get them to the level, whether they want to be the next supervisor, deputy, or whatever. But that's what I'm there for. So thank you all, and that's my
Question number
question on
one.
the slide.
I need, if Ms. Fox can explain more to those of us who ain't quite aware when she made reference to BTC.
Oh,
If you can explain it to voting by contract. Okay. And you mentioned, the interest fund. I think if we stick to statute and the interest fund signature have the supervisory election, but I don't think it prohibits another signature along the supervisory election.
Well, that's what I'm doing. The
So,
first
I know, but I'm saying,
October, I'm going forward with more than one signature.
if you have a district person, I think there should be one of them should be in conjunction with the supervisor rather than two chairpersons.
Right.
And that's what I want to be sure. You made mention we are quasi.
What's that term I use?
Tell us again what you mean by that. You say we're going to start with
Well, we say it all the time because we are not self-sufficient and we have to depend on the government for certain activities, whether it's finance, it's personnel. So with a staff of 4 or 5, we can't support ourselves. If we want to be independent of the government, we should be able to do all these things. So financial, accounting, personnel. So I understand your point, but I also explain the process. And our money comes from the government.
We know that, but I'm saying all independent agencies get money from the government. That's why I don't want the media to give the impression that we are under the executive branch, as I believe for the past 4 years.
Okay.
And I mentioned about additional machines, GS200. I think you omitted to mention Atomax.
Yeah, I have it here, 8 Atomax also.
Okay. So it's the GS200 and Atomax collectively. And I saw a show here. You didn't mention transportation and advertising.
Oh, sorry, the last one. I did put in a request since the last meeting was postponed, Madam Chair, from September, and because of year end, I put in a request to request 2 vans, one for St. Croix and one to St. Thomas, Street Property and Procurement. Again, when that comes, it'll be wrapped, which I have sample to show some of the folks what the van look like. It will be used as an advertising tool plus a transportation tool to move the machines to do demonstration. So the van has been ordered through Property and Procurement.
And personally, you have to wait on Property and Procurement to move people around.
Yes.
Member Washington, President Member Ross.
You want to go back to George?
Yes, thank you. Just a couple of quick points. The funding source of the van.
That was out of election system funding.
The office supervisor,
Yes.
they have a fund.
No.
Office supervisor.
Yes.
You did make reference to Blanca Maldonado when you called me.
I sorry.
I was going to ask you.
She's still on staff?
Yes, she is, but she's on leave today when they give me all the names of
I understand. I just trying to.
Yes, that's good. I want to introduce everybody to the community.
Member Brand, when you did the budget request, did you inquire whether or not that is, can you inquire? Let me ask you, can you inquire whether or not the legislature passed monies to pay the outstanding obligation to the attorney incurred by the last year?
Those discussions were here. I think the last discussion I had with Mr. Mohammed had mentioned that Mr. Evangelista in the office of the governor was working to identify the funding for that, and I haven't found anything on it.
Also, if I may, there was a commitment on behalf of the Senate Committee Finance Chair, the President, to based on the recommendation that was made out of the lady from OMB, that it be placed as a prior year obligation authorization.
But she never made anything reference to that. And when I was at the hearing, I don't think.
I know the hearing it was made reference to.
Right.
But the senators were committed to put it as part of this main section of the budget. So I'm asking the supervisor to find out if they did it.
Yeah.
Well, that document that she has there is not included, and until they get one as passed, I don't recall any amendment of that particular budget that included any previous year's obligations in it. So until we get a copy, I can find it from the legal counsel.
I'm asking the supervisor.
Oh, you want her to tell me?
I'm asking the supervisor right now.
Well, I was there, so I was talking because she would testify it.
No, this is for the fourth thing. The Senate has acted on the budget. They passed the miscellaneous section of the budget. I'm asking the planning board in the miscellaneous section of the budget. They allotted some money for prior obligation, that's all. As it might be, no, I don't know, Joe, but I'm asking you to look into that. You talked about the interest fund and the recommendation for the two district boards to co-sign with you,
Yes.
subject to the changing of the law, subject to the law being changed.
Yeah, I want to implement it now until the last day, yes.
Should this board authorize that to occur?
That's one.
And
Right here, yeah.
if so, I so move.
That was the motion.
Second,
The
any
motion is that,
objection?
the motion is that
State, member
Ross.
Ross?
Motion is that along with the supervisor election, the two district chairs be authorized to co-sign on the interest fund.
It's been moved in second.
Aye.
Discussion?
Amendment.
Object.
Amendment, please.
Objection?
Then the second, object.
Amendment to the
What's your
motion.
objection?
Well, I object to the department of stocking. Stated.
And
That's why I
what you
state
say?
that's why I state my objection during my objection.
Now you can say.
Okay, thank you. I'm a little, that, I objected because I think we are confusing the funds. The fund that is addressed by statute is the voter ID and registration fund. That is the fund that is addressed by statute. In the audit addressed the voter ID and registration fund and an interest fund. So we aren't talking, I don't know, I haven't heard the conversation. I'm hearing about the interest fund, but the one that is of concern is the voter registration interest fund, voter registration, voter ID and registration fund. So my concern is whether or not we are talking about one fund or we talking about two funds. Because I think I would like to object so that we can be clear as to what one we're referring to.
Point of information.
I have.
Point of information. The statute clearly defines what is known as the election system fund. The election system fund was created in 2000. It was previously was created separate and apart. The impress fund, if you check the statute, was created again separately for the election system fund. If you read the election system fund, it tells you federal Ohio funds plus, in addition, any money appropriated from the legislation. It says there right there. And then again, the impress fund is made reference to in the Inspector General report. And if you talk about the impress fund, it is where in a hearing, and it will address again in Federal Center with Ms. Capard, when Mr. Graham, Senator Graham, questioned them and asked them, since you say that only supervisor of election signs that, the law does not prohibit another signature to be co-signing in the same, there's three different things we're talking about.
Okay,
Then
that's
raise his fault.
But Mr. Waterton's question is valid. He's saying the voter ID, which is a duplicate ID card for our voters. That fund in the past was deposited in the Impress account. So now I gotta separate the Impress account with the Impress fund, and the voter's ID has to go into the election funds account, which goes to the Department of Finance. So I have to input that into the system to go into finance.
The voter ID and registration fund is a fund that is set up by statute.
To the Department of Finance.
Through the Department
Correct, that's what I just said.
That, in fact, states therein in that Title 33 that it shall be under the auspices of the supervisor of elections. The impress fund that the election system can have. We don't need any legislation to establish a procedure for that. I don't believe that you'll find any law specifically addressing the impress fund. So the fund that I am hearing about, that people I'm hearing impress fund, but the issue is the voter ID and registration fund. And that's my objection.
Yeah, well, I went to the bank, and the bank has the impress fund, and it's only one signature, and then Mr. John Abramson. So that's the point that he's talking about. So it's two different things, but we gotta solve it the same way. One goes through finance, we was putting the money in the impress fund, but the impress fund needs additional signatures. I went to the bank, and there's only one person's signature on the impress fund. And that's what I want to change there, and also the finance area, so.
Member Ross?
Sorry. Oh,
That was your motion.
What we're trying to change is an impress fund.
That only has one
Currently
signature.
has one signature on it. To allow that it be co-signed by
But
the district court chair.
It was not established by the board.
It was established by statute of law.
No, it wasn't established by statute.
No,
It was not established by statute and then established by the board.
We don't have the act is there.
Even if it was established by law or by the
Mr.
board.
Ross? You keep saying Mr. Ross?
Abramson.
Okay.
Even if it was established by law or established by the board, the fact is that it exists and it has one signature on it, and we're just basically saying on the board, from whence it came, we want two signatures to act on it. That's all.
Okay, then to require two signatures on the impress
That's on
fund.
the front, yes.
Right.
And it's, well, I don't want to prolong it. Can I call the question?
Call the question, Brett. Roll call?
Aaron Vishanti, absent. Claudia Georges,
Yes.
Wilma Fonsando,
Yes.
Lydia Hendricks, Harry Daniel,
Yeah.
Alicia Wells,
Yes.
Drew Watlington, yea. And Liliana Belaldi O'Neill.
Yes.
Glenn Webster, absent. Lisa Moorhead, absent. Roland Molina, absent. Delbert Bryan,
Yeah.
Rupert Ross.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, 9 yeas.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Member Ross or?
for you to the, apologize, for you to the secretary, he stopped at my name, the record should show that Member Williams was absent at this vote. Did you record that?
Yeah, I didn't? Yeah, no, okay, absent, I'm sorry, yes.
The record should show that.
Yes, it is absent.
Thank you.
Member Daniel?
Madam Chair, my question before we went to the roll call was to the deputy supervisor. But I think she mentioned the machine is going to go to St. John for demonstration purposes only.
Permanently, is the way that it's permanently.
Would that machine be able to be used at any time?
For demonstration.
I mean, what if
What election is referring to?
election, what if one goes
They
down?
particularly said, I have a backup, I just gave you a backup, I said one machine for absentee, one as a backup.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that, I would have one for the demonstration only.
So the demonstration machine cannot be used for the election.
Okay,
Amen.
all right, that's it.
Will not.
I'd like to ask you the dates of yes and what dates of it. We have to
I have
agree
my
on that,
question,
don't we?
it's back, huh?
The
I still have my
dates.
question.
She said the week, the 17th.
So we have to agree on that now?
Yeah,
No, I thought-
that's the next on the agenda.
No, we need to, the board needs to discuss it and decide on if that's the good week, the week of November 17th.
I would like to echo your clarification. On the St. John machine situation, Mr. Daniel, for supervisor election, I would like to suggest that we not just only put a machine there, the DS200, that we put a complete process of the voting equipment, the voting station, so we can understand that there is a voting station to mark your ballot.
Right.
They have to mark for the ADA compliance, the DS 200, so that people in St. John can see a full representation rather than leaving the only going to a machine.
My thinking, when she said demonstration, only the whole process would be laid out there. So
No, I just want to make it clear.
Oh, okay, okay. From step 1 to step 5, or whatever. All right.
Once we get space, it would be great. We can put all of that. We can't fit in the room. Member Marsh concerned.
I've been having my hand up.
But she's speaking.
No, I've been having my hand up to speak to the
All right, I'm sorry,
director.
Member Washington.
Okay.
Today is sometime.
In regards to you said, Mrs. Fox, thank you for your report. Thank you.
Mrs. Fox, Madam Supervisor. Who are you speaking to? I thought you were recognizing me and she actually.
No, she said.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Then Member
You
Marsh.
talked about 18 computers.
Yes.
What are those for?
That's the office computers, which are the employees plus one in the conference room. All the computers that we have are old, they are crashing. So each employee will have one, and then in the conference room we'll have one each.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, Member Marsh is after.
I'll come over Marsh.
The email, I sent you back an email saying thanks for this new development. In speaking to my people who in fact set this thing up, one of my friends, he informed me what my email address is already, told me that last night. But you have
I have a list. Yeah, your email address is going to be public. If BIT put it out, I know we had a meeting back then, I mentioned it yesterday's meeting, but I'm saying people in BIT would know your email address, they won't know your password.
right. No, my password comes from them.
Correct.
I'm going to contact them directly and get a password from them.
Correctly. So they have a password now that you would want as a general password, which is a capital P, the word password with a 1 behind it.
Okay.
So
All right,
capital P and password.
I could
And you
just
contact BIT or go to your friend, can you
After
close
that.
by, and then they go on a computer, you set up your private password.
Okay, so,
And the address, you can see some has a number with their name, because you might have somebody in the system with a similar name. So Molina has a 2 behind his name, but that's all created by BIT.
Just happen.
One last thing, and us, the election system right now has a GOV, but our goal is to get ESVI, because people need to identify us. And why you have BOEL, because there's already a Board of Education. So if they give you BOE, they're going to confuse you with Board of Education. So they have to give you EL for elections.
he explained me all of that.
No, this is public information.
He explained me all of that.
Oh, but the other people don't know.
No, I'm saying, I understand that, but I'm saying that he did explain me all of that. Now, the petition that you referred to regarding an elected attorney general, you said that you want the board or the system to develop some guidelines in terms of what? Because clearly any initiative is established under the Organic Act as an initiative and how in fact it takes place. When you say guidelines, are you talking about trying to change the standard in terms of what qualifies for initiative? Or are you saying that you want to develop a form or a form that some party has to follow when presenting a petition? I don't understand what you meant by
No, what the person that emailed, and I think she sent to Mrs. Wells yesterday, a step-by-step process. Again, you go to the Organic Act, it tells you what's required, and then you have to take 1% of the vote or 4% of the vote, that's it. But in other states, it tells you you submit it to the election system, from us, it goes to the Attorney General. So the folks want to know that process, 180 days, or etc., what day they should have it back, how many signatures they need based on the percentage that's registered and voted. And so I looked at Texas, and they have this couple pages not long, kind of step-by-step process of what happened, to educate the
So
person.
you're developing a process that's consistent
With the law, with the Organic Act. But it's just general in the Organic Act, and I spoke to Ms. Chairman.
And lastly, my last item, based on your report, the advance. I would ask the board and the supervisor to be mindful, even though I believe everybody wants to maybe go to St. John because it's St. John. So St. Thomas is a trip, to St. Croix is a trip. but it's an expensive venture. And I think you should want to consider spending the monies that we have for this advance, possibly at Carambola in St. Croix, which belongs currently to many of us who in fact are members of the GRS system, and whose rates are much, much less, and it's just a nicer facility at the Westin, and it is a retreat from the rest of St. Croix. Excuse me? And I'm just suggesting that you consider that in lieu of the Westin, because the Westin is very pricey. I'm getting a room at Carambola less than $80 than what we're going to be paying, or you guys will be paying tonight at King's Alley.
That's governmental, isn't it? Government is King's
Yeah,
Alley also.
but it's night and day in terms of the accommodation. And if I can pay $80 less than what you pay, I think we need to seriously look at utilizing our funds as efficiently as possible, especially given the ignorance, the ignored I'm saying the legislature ignored our request for funds, totally ignored it. Motion. That's all I have.
I have a point to clarify. Why I'm saying St. John,
because
they already paid some funds to St. John Hotel.
Yeah, but
to have a retreat, and it was
2 years ago.
Okay, so you don't have a credit?
Yes, and they could give you back the money.
That's right.
They could give you back the money?
Yes.
I have a motion.
And that's my questions to your report.
Before the question, before Member Marshman Santo, we need to discuss that week that ES&S is going to come to do training, just so they keep it in the back of our mind.
I think that the St. Thomas board voted for that week.
No, she changed it now.
She changed it again?
She's now going to the 18th, she coming in on the 17th to St. Croix, 18th and 19th, and then the 20th and 21st on St. Thomas.
We need a vote.
No, the following week.
We need a vote for that, rather than just agreeing that that's fine. We need a vote? Why would we need a vote?
We need a discussion so that we would discuss.
17th she flies in on a Sunday, the 18th and the 19th she's on St. Croix, and then the 20th and the 21st.
Oh, she's saying she's coming to St. Thomas.
She's coming to St. Croix first.
Okay, so that is...
And the next thing we need is how many ballots do you want? I know we want to go to some of the schools or university, so I have to tell them how much ballots we like, the practice ballots, so she could have them when she comes. So I need it from both districts.
I would like to say this. I think that our ballots need to be, the sample or the test ballots need to be put in some form that would reflect our primary election. We are going to have 3 categories of voters: ICMs, Democrats, Republicans. We need to have the sample ballots similarly as it would be for those elections. Also to include the delegate to Congress, so it would say territorial members of those various parties, the chairman, the district chairs, and the state chairs of the various parties, the Board of Elections, which is 2 people at least on St. John district. I don't know how much coming up in St. Croix. Board of Education, and that's been changed this year because last year their terms became staggered based upon how many people, the amount of votes. So it's going to have some other seats coming available. So we may have to go through figuring out how the ballots in the various districts, because I think in the various districts it will be different. And the legislature, the delegate to Congress, and the government. I think rather than having it like the animals or whatever that we were testing on now, I think if we're going to do it, I think we need to have it more closely to reflect what we're going to be facing in September, in August. So that's my only question.
Member Marshman Santo?
I just have a suggestion to Mrs. Fox. I went by the election system this afternoon and there were 2 ladies registering. You have a beautiful display of the machine and the cubicle and everything, and they were not even aware what that was until I shared. So maybe if you can enhance the area with a banner or something, so people, something colorful that people would make an inquiry and know, and perhaps look at the machines and see exactly what they would be faced with when the election time comes around. Just a thought.
The AG issue, that's an initiative that we're going to have on the ballot coming up?
That's what
okay.
you're proposing, so
All
you're
right.
gonna go through the process.
Okay, that's Member Brown?
First, can I make my motion
That's
first?
already passed.
Can I make my motion first? May I make my motion first?
First, for what will be second?
My discussion and what I want to speak about.
I don't, all right.
About the, my motion basically is to cap and schedule whatever date we have in mind for the advance that we've been calling retreat and the government facility invested in Carambolos and Croissant. And for us to get our refund, that if we instate it, we have to pay for it.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Is there discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Is there any objection?
No objection.
No, roll call. I have an objection.
You have an objection?
Yes.
You object?
You can.
All right, so, who object?
Harry and I.
How you object?
Motion. I had a 138 second, I'll make,
Very good.
Okay.
What do you
Talk about
think?
this, I said, you
Advance.
No phones don't work and nothing there.
That's not true. I give you that. Okay, was seconded by who? Who seconded? Motion by Brian.
There wasn't a second.
There
Yes.
was 2 seconds, yes.
Balado and Martha Sandro.
No, George.
Oh, I'm sorry.
See Georges.
And Balado.
See Georges. Can only have 1 second.
I think the
Wait, the motion was.
That's all right. You have to second nothing in the legislature, what do you want? Lawrence Bishalki, absent. Daughter Georges,
Yes.
Member Mark Monsanto,
Yes.
Lydia Hendricks,
No.
voting against him.
She
Harry
doesn't
Daniel.
wear all-
You know, the compliance is no.
She doesn't
Oh, that's
wear
okay,
all-
I do not vote yes.
Come on, Harry, come on.
Harry Daniel?
You know it, no.
Alicia, well.
No.
See the government money.
Oh, so then we should.
Aduru Washington, yes. Liliana Belala Daniel,
Yes, of course.
Len Webster, absent. Lisa Moorhead, absent. Roland Molina, absent. Delbert Ryan, Rupert Ross Jr.,
Yeah.
Raymond Williams, absent. Madam Chair, we have 1, 2, 3, 7 yea, 2 no.
Motion. Another motion.
Member Brian?
The motion is to allow the joint board meetings to vote via video conferences. So moved.
Amendment.
It has, I didn't hear, I heard
Ain't no
objection
second.
amendment in there
Ain't no
second.
Second.
How come to you?
They said, she said amendment, he said objection.
Well, no, we got a problem.
I didn't hear a second until I asked for a second.
Okay,
All right.
to allow for vote, to allow,
Voting at the joint board meeting via video conferences, VTC. Regardless of what we keep it in one, we have, until we have a system within our own offices. But we can use any places in Thomas and Croy to have the conferences that we've been doing from the License Consumer Services or back here by the, what the place by the BAT.
Member Georges, you need to speak.
I would need,
Oh, sorry.
my amendment is based on, we have to establish our policy first, because you went straight into voting. I think we have to establish a policy of
We have
having,
it.
it.
You have those
That's right,
papers.
we have to vote.
You have it.
As we wanted.
We
She was
are
in charge
allowed.
of researching.
Referring for
that.
us going ahead and doing it.
yes,
So we need to bring it to.
but
She
she-
said
Hello.
voting. I'm sorry.
allowing
His motion is clear.
members,
His motion is clear.
members to
And
vote,
you,
provided a quorum is present on issues related to any rules and policy. So if it's a policy, we can adjust against the rate.
Yes,
But we
right.
vote on it, it's a policy, we adopting it.
Right, I
Because
agree.
you could only vote video conference, if you're there, you can't stay on the phone and if you're a senior. That's what video conference is for me, because I don't see you and you don't see me.
I agree, but I thought,
The
you know,
public will still come to the meeting.
that is the point I'm making. You said voting via video, I think also the word meeting needs to be.
Was that what you said?
No, you
No,
said
it's a meeting, it's
voting.
voted. Member Watlington, excuse me.
He said that John would.
Wait a minute.
he said to allow voting via video conferencing at joint board meetings.
That's what he said.
That's what he
At joint board
said.
meeting?
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Okay.
I raised my hand to basically indicate that I think we need to, I think it is necessary. However, I don't think it is appropriate right now to start piecemealing these policies without even, I don't know if we haven't adopted anything, any bylaws this year. And I think if that's something we can put in, then we need to put it by resolution. I think we should have these discussions at the district level and then bring it to the board once you have the consensus. You have 4 members and you have 4 members missing. Huh? When we meet in Thursday, we meet in Thursday, okay? To discuss it so that we can understand exactly where we are, because we don't have no video conferencing now, and we have to go to VIP conference room or some UVI or someplace yes, there is a charge. I think it will be less than a ticket, but I think we should try and do this thing in a holistic manner and really, and that's my concern. So at this point I'm not going to vote.
Could I amend my motion?
Can you do that?
Amend my motion? Restate my own motion?
So you're gonna
If you
pull that motion and give a new motion.
No.
The motion, if you want me to restate it completely over in clarity, is to have at joint board meetings of the virtual election system board to be able to vote via video conferences and to have a resolution drafted to so effect to be voted on the next joint board meeting. So,
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any objection? Hearing none?
Also for the record, I don't know if my amendment was second, if it was, I did for it.
Thank you. Please restate that again.
Well, it's basically, all it does is at the next, for our resolution drafted to be presented and voted on at the next joint board meeting.
Okay.
Who's going to draft this resolution?
You and Senator Ryan and Ms. Fox. Members Ryan, Watlington, and the supervisor.
You don't appoint me to another more case again.
This is until other
with the
Ms. Fox are
supervisor
here.
election.
Huh?
With the supervisor election.
I accept Ms. Fox.
Okay. No, don't worry.
That's the next thing on the schedule, revising and updating the bylaws, that's the next thing on the
okay. May I say something, please?
Member Watlington?
And I apologize for coming late and not being at the chair that I usually are, but I have some legal matters that are usual, but I'm going to report usual. At our last district meeting, and I don't know if St. Croix took it up, at our last district meeting, we voted to recommend to the joint board that we respond to Delegate Christensen's letter, wherein she has asked the joint board to weigh in on whether or not we should be electing our delegate by a plurality rather than a majority. At our district meeting, I believe we had a quorum, and the quorum being present, we voted to recommend to the joint board that we tell or inform the delegate that we are in favor of a plurality vote rather than a majority vote. And the reason I bring this up is because time is passing, number one, and number two, it is very consistent with the consent decree that forces us to put the ballots in people's hands 45 days before the election. If we continue to have a majority vote and we run into a situation wherein we have 3 candidates that are somewhat popular, we can end up with it hasn't happened yet, but it can end up with a runoff. And if we have a runoff in a November election, our law calls for the runoff to take place 10 or 20 days after the general election. And if that occurs, we will not be compliant with the consent order that requires us to have the ballots 45 days in advance. So if we have one general election that determines the delegate Congress by a plurality vote, it would do 2 things: save up the expense of a runoff, and 2, it would make us compliant with the consent decree that also speaks to the discussion that we had with the ballots being in the hands of the voters 45 days. So it's not on the agenda. I would ask leave of the body to consider voting on this today and getting that correspondence out to the delegate, because it has to be changed by Congress. It's not something locally, so that we can get that out, and hopefully we would be compliant come next year if that possibility does occur. So that's what I'd like to ask the members to consider.
I saw her on Labor Day in Cornville, and we discussed like my personal opinion. But I told you we'll be bringing it up here at either September 19th or today. So I need to hear what the members would like to have written.
It's not to have it written. It's just to vote whether we should recommend.
No, I mean a vote with the center on that.
May I say something, please?
Yes.
You know, before the election would be out of place to respond to the delegate wishes in town. She up there with them. We don't hear run election. We have to comply with the original law and federal law. So are we going to take priority to government, lieutenant governor, or priority for anybody else? That's ridiculous. Let the delegate find out what ourselves. I am saying, if you change the priority, what happens when a tie for the governor and lieutenant governor? With TRR, they have provisional law for runoff in primaries. So why are we trying to fight about that? That's my job. I ain't supporting that at all.
So is that the consensus of the board that we don't answer anything that
we don't answer, not time for we to answer. She in Congress, that's their problem, that's their proposal. The Bourgeois, they see that that's who's supposed to respond to that, not me. I respond to the laws that are written on the federal level, a federal office on the ballot, and the Bourgeois law and the congressional law.
Is it the wish of the board that we don't do anything in regarding the our letter?
I don't support that, so I don't know what the board will do, but that's how it happens. I can't fight how it happens, that's how bad it is.
Member Ross?
The request is going to create a convoluted situation. Let's see. The ordinance on Guam of only 2 jurisdictions that have this problem.
She mentioned that.
And the regular. And if we change, and of the options, I support changing the delegate ballots to plurality vote. But at the same time, I don't agree that it would affect the local elections. So that the governor would always be elected by majority. Therefore, I envision sometime down the road, if the law is in place, that election day delegate maybe win by 45% of the votes, but that there will still be a runoff 20 days later on the local elections for a governor that does not get 50+1. So I'm just saying that that's how I look at it. And that might be a little convoluted to some people, because the MOVE Act does not apply to local elections. Right. The issue is only the federal elections. And basically we're seeking to solve the federal elections. I mean, and there are other ways to do it. The Department of Defense is basically what's pushing this legislation through Congress, claiming that Guam and colonized is a violation of the law. We could sit back and do nothing, and they're going to do what they want to do anyway. And at the end of the day, that's what will happen. They're going to do what they want to do. The best solution, in my judgment, given the lesser of two evils, is that we change the federal elections of plurality vote.
And we recommend that.
We recommend it. I wish you could go a little farther and recommend a threshold, however. I'm not comfortable with a plurality vote of about 38%. But I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know that. Plurality vote of 45 or 42%, threshold might be better. But it is a problem with the MOVE Act. Failure to do that would require us to have a federal election, a runoff election sometime in the Christmas season.
Exactly.
Or in January,
Yep.
if we fail to make it a majority election in November. And that's a different story. Eventually Congress will decide. They'll solve that problem just like they solve the problem with shutting government. Yes.
I have a question. What does the revised economic survey that can solve the delegated election?
It's not in, I don't think it's the, yeah, well, it isn't the elected delegate part, which is the organic act.
All right.
When you say one of the state,
Well, it is still revised economic act, how we proceed.
well, that's why it's a federal mandate.
Well, that's
And
what
the
she
federal
said.
law, as Mr. Ross said, he's correct. We would be, if we can do nothing, or we can be what I think is responsible and say, yes, we believe that the plurality vote is in our best interest because it saves us the cost of putting on a runoff, and it also solves our problem with the MOVE Act, with the requirement that you have the ballots in people's hands 45 days before any election, which would include a runoff if somebody doesn't get 50+1 of the percent of the votes. So I see that a no-brainer.
It is a brainer because we are thinking that a lot of people come out for primary. If 49% of the registered voters come out in a primary, that's not a representation of people voting for delegate office. So how, what
Correction. We're not talking about the primary, we're talking about the general election.
No, I talk about the primary general because the past delegated act.
No, you don't need a 50+1 for any primary.
I'm saying, in a primary election, you started from a primary.
The primary has nothing to do with this discussion.
Why? Because you don't want it?
No,
it doesn't have a primary. Let's go to the general election. If 50% or less than 50% of the registered voters come out and vote for the office of the delegate, what does that tell us?
Yeah, that's how they vote for everybody.
No, that means
What do you mean?
that's a congressional condition and the delegate problem. We got a problem here, and she's sitting on behind her bed and she does not tell us something. So let's keep what your part was saying. That's our job.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move that the matter discussed be placed on today's agenda, or I would like to move that it be placed on the agenda and that we call the vote thereupon, unless there's other discussions on the subject. I think we are clear as to what the issue is. I think we have, at least we have exhausted it. I don't know of any members who are unaware of the issue that's here. It's only a recommendation on our part, and I think it would be more responsible of us to give our recommendation, whether it be nay or yea. And I would ask, I so move.
Is there a second?
Objection.
Objection.
Can I take an objection? We have an agenda, as far as I'm concerned, we have an agenda here more important than delegate of Congress. I am saying clearly, I don't support this
and vote against.
Can I finish my talk, please?
We have to get out of here.
We here for here now?
I don't know.
Okay, let's look at things. I didn't want the core book. I stayed here. No, you talk about
Please,
this,
I'm
no.
so glad you said.
Some say we come here to discuss the agenda, things of our agenda, the delegate is on this agenda. And I'm saying that the consent decree makes no reference to a delegate office. The consent decree requires the Board of Elections of the General Government to comply with the federal statute with overseas voters and all those concerned. The military concerned and overseas voters is more important than what the delegate right in there. If the delegate wants to fight that battle, she needs right up there with all the money and can go to shut down the government. This concern doesn't concern the world. It's not going to make us any better because she get the most vote out of a population of people rather than what she's doing now. And she did so good, she would make the decision. I don't think that, hey, they don't give them need to fight that battle. They said they would want to push us in front or else campaign to sit back. We there here can't go to health care and what they do. What we get for it? People here get in that car, who get for it? Everything going on, she's sitting up there and hey, come back.
I move the previous question,
Thank you.
madam.
I second.
All right, roll call.
This is to call the vote on our recommendation.
Yes,
Okay, the vote is to recommend
the motion.
that the joint board gives a recommendation to respond to the delegate regarding the plurality or the majority vote on the as to the election of the delegates Congress. Correct?
Yes.
Lawrence Bishaldi, absent. Brother Georges. Mama Monsanto.
No.
Lydia Hendricks.
Yeah.
Harry Daniel.
Yeah.
Alicia Wells.
Yes.
Arturo Watlington. Yes. Leona Bilalde O'Neill.
No.
Glenn Webster, absent. Lisa Harris Moorhead, absent. Roland Molina, absent. Delbert Bryan.
No.
Robert Ross.
Yeah.
Raymond Williams, absent. Madam, 6 years, 9 years.
No.
I'm sorry. 6 years, 3 days, 6 absent. 5 absent.
A letter will be drafted.
You want me to draft the
Please,
letter?
when send it to Ms. Fox.
Okay. Ms. Fox, you want to go ahead and draft it?
Until I would I need to say that.
Okay.
Before the letter said, I think we should say what the letter said.
Yeah.
I would say that we
Why
voted.
people say what I say no. I know how lives operate. Before they send the letter, I have enough before I need to read it.
Well, I'm sure Ms. Fox is.
No, Ms. Fox is no lie. I just want to say that, that's all I'm saying.
But who you think you ain't got me doing legal work or lawyer?
One time you Lisa say, I know lie.
No, don't talk about Lisa.
Please, let's finish the agenda. Let's finish the agenda.
I'm saying I need to say the
Let's
letter
fin-
when
all right,
it's
you
finished
get a
draft.
copy.
That's all I want to say.
Ms. Fox and Sandy.
Ms. Fox, I need to say when it's finished draft.
I will.
Good. Right, something, I don't write something about it. One, I know that. Today, I ain't writing a delegate problem. This is only all the time in Washington.
Revision of the bylaws and establishment of the committee to address the statement. Member Georges, you still want to, we'll work on that and get it on
Madam Chair,
I
Yes,
can't even say it.
because you will.
Madam Chair, I think we agreed that after the supervisor report, we do 7, 8, and 9.
She did the additional,
I did that in my report.
additional,
Remember, we were moving it up to my area, so
I don't think we voted. I don't think
No,
we
we voted.
voted on 7,
8,
8,
no, no.
or 9.
This member has no problem if the board is comfortable that we discuss it and we want to move on. But I just want to take it off the list.
I don't think we discussed it. I don't think we discussed the obtaining or agreed on
Because
the additional
we didn't
machine.
vote on it.
We didn't discuss it, nobody else had any weighed in on it.
Motion, the language here was discussion.
Discussion, so nobody else weighed in on it.
So,
And on the
there's
office
no,
also.
is there a need for us to vote on it?
I think that we need to discuss.
Motion.
Okay. Motion on the floor.
My motion is to obtain additional DS200 machine and automatic machine, total amount will be 8 of the election system, the originals, and to be distributed accordingly to the recommendations of the election. So moved.
For the Georges.
8 additional machines.
80 automatic and DS200.
I object.
You wouldn't say it.
Well, because I want to speak on it, not necessarily I oppose it. But I think it should be, I don't know if, let me write it down, automatic. Yeah, have the DS1, as recommended. Ryan, seconded, this was seconded by who? Georges. Okay. The concern is whether or not we need to have the exact same amount of the automats at every site. If you can order 8, if you need 8 additional, especially if some of them are, at least one is just going to be a display item, and whether or not it is cost effective to get the same equal amount of automats for every place that you have. As you discussed, Ms. Fox, I have, and at the next meeting, we would hopefully be discussing our consolidation in terms of where we need to, what polling places need to be consolidated. And if so, we may not need an automat for each location that we may have. Ms. Hendricks used to be a judge at a place that is clearly ADA non-compliant, and the board in past has discussed closing it down already. And I am ready to recommend to my district members that we go ahead and close that polling place down, thereby rendering the need for an automat at that location. So even though I still am concerned in terms of our actuality, a little bit more is better than not enough. So I'm not, and as long as we can get to a place that we can make it as comfortable and as easy for people to vote, I am all in favor of that. But my concern is basically being forced to acquire additional automats merely because we just gone straight into, we can get this or not, we can get 8, so let's get 8 automats.
Okay, what I'll do, I'll go back to the ESNS and ask them pros and cons, and then get back to you at your meeting next week.
The problem is,
they're not going to tell you just respond.
the problem is we have a motion right now that is hard and fast in terms of what you can get.
Go ahead. Has a feasibility study been done as it pertains to the distribution of the machines on election day?
That was done when we met.
I talk about St. Thomas and not this.
I'm saying that information was given to Mr. Matthew Nelson when he came to the Virgin Islands on January 17th. In discussion with the election committee. He came back again on March 7th or 9th, when all of us, with the exception of Ms. Hendricks and Mr. Waddington, were there. The judges chaired the meeting, Mr. Ross was absent, and all of us were right there when the man explained, because he had got the total amount of machine that we had before, the DS2, the Shuptrani machine, and he got a list of how many registered voters they had, how many polling places they had, what percentage was used, where they were, and the primary process. Let me finish, please. They got to keep my record to general election. He and them calculated how much of the DS200 and automat would be required to accommodate the voting population according to the event. Now, the federal law requires that you must have an automat to every polling station. Is that right? You can't put the BS200 under the belief that no ADA person is coming there. If something goes on, you got 20 and you got 8 and 8, then we congratulate ourselves, we should have had one, it was shut off. You can't be this challenged person on highest level comparing someone to vote unless you get a provisional ballot. Wait a minute, we just playing game with them. One them thing ain't up, next thing we get too much.
Previous question.
Previous question, the motion is already on the floor.
Motion, amendment to the motion.
Amendment to the motion.
I would like, my amendment to the motion is that we add the words up to the motion.
If what?
Up to.
No problem, not more than 8.
That's what I agree.
That's what me, I understand, that's all. No problem.
If you
We're
accept
going
that,
to-
if you accept that as a technical amendment,
No problem, sure.
that addresses
There's an amendment here.
monetary concerns.
Wait a minute, please.
The
There was an
investment is
amendment.
Well, I'm withdrawing the amendment because the maker of the main motion has no objections. Am I correct?
Yes, not more than or up to.
Up to 8 machines. And therefore, when you guys sit down, you have authorization to buy up to 8. You don't have authorization to buy 9, 10, or 11, but up to 8. That means you can buy 7 or 5.
Or 1 or 1.
Or 1. Up to 8.
Roll call on the, no objections?
I withdraw
any?
my objection.
So there are no objections to the motion as fixed for up to. Okay, then.
That's the problem.
There's no objection.
I ain't telling you my business.
I go for it,
That's the way it's doing.
Oh, well,
Madam Chair,
Do it. Yes, Member Ross?
I am.
I would like to move that we have completed discussions on section 7, 8, and 9 at this time.
We're seeing each other again in November when Alexa comes.
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair,
The board of Commander, right?
Madam Chair, I see, and I may have missed it, but you have to establish a committee to address the state plan. And I think that's very important.
And I asked Member Georges if she was going to head, and she said yes.
No, okay.
Be on it, without name. We were supposed to have names from each district to present. We need people from the St. Croix district, and we need people from the St. Thomas St. John district to work on this state plan. That's on your agenda, Member Wappington,
Yes, ma'am.
for the next meeting. I'm sorry.
May I recommend that we follow the same pattern referring to setting up a committee of 10 persons, 5 from each district.
All right, so, Member Brian, you'll get 5 members at your next meeting and send them over to us. Send the names.
You got 3 of us here.
The people,
No,
the
committee.
committee doesn't necessarily have to
It's
be,
community people.
doesn't have to be board members.
I want to any particular party.
No.
No, I don't want to look at
You might want to consider, there's a watchdog group that wants to be involved. You may want to consider some of those people. Because we have some gentleman named Forbes who still believe that there's somewhat wrong with the election of 2012.
Something was wrong.
You saw the video?
Let's not go into that.
Excuse me.
Hello, Mr. Ross.
So you take your 5 that when you're meeting next week, and Member Washington,
And you
Mr. Rodriguez,
recommend.
and give the name to Ms. Fox, and then Ms. Fox will get on it, and then Member Georges will work on that committee.
No problem.
Is there someone over here saying I would work on this with Member Georges?
How soon you want it?
Yesterday.
That don't go. You can't.
Wednesday when you, I said when you meet on Wednesday.
I
I said when you meet next Wednesday.
No, we met this yesterday.
I said, but it's gone till it starts, so when you meet next week, you can.
That's next month. You don't meet the month already.
You don't meet every Wednesday?
No, first Wednesday of the month.
Oh, no, then I need
We
it yesterday. We too.
don't.
We don't need it because we come to our meetings. And we don't play games because our mother don't let us play no games.
Madam Chair,
Member, Rojas?
Mr. Ross, you tell us tell us you're going to go
the they can read it, Madam Chair.
Excuse me, Member Ross?
For point of clarity, this state plan we are talking about is the state plan as authorized by the Harbor Act.
Yes.
Correct?
It's still not the one we did before.
Mandated by the Harbor Act, whenever we are going to make any changes to the expenditure plan for Harbor.
Yes.
Am I correct?
That's correct.
And the recommendation is that we will be a committee of 10 right from this district. Just for the record, that the last state plan revision committee had a committee of 17. So,
Okay, based, correct. Through the chair to Member Ross, based on the document.
Yes, objection.
The
roll call. The motion.
Motion to adjourn. Roll call.
Is that the record will tell you that Bonner St. Croix District scheduled a meeting. We have quorum and can be coming from beginning to end.
St. Joseph, seat up to roll.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Motion to adjourn.
Roll call.
Roll call, Lawrence Shawty, abstain. Lawrence Georges, abstain. Wilma Monsanto.
When Mr. Christ was on the phone, I
Madam
said.
Chair, there's a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
After discussion and the group.
Alicia Wells.
Yes.
Arturo Watkinson, yes. Liliana Malala.
No.
Glenn Webster, absent. Lisa Harris Moorhead, absent. Roland Molina, absent. Adelbert Bryan. Rupert Ross.
Yeah.
Junior. Raymond Williams, absent. Madam Chair, 5 yeas.
So is that 1 to 17?
2 nays, 2 abstain.
It's more than 2.
All right. 5 years.
5 years. The motion
5
is
years, 2 nays.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. And you will be advised when it's time to come. Remember when Mr. Christ was on the phone? And I said,
The first time you stay a whole meeting. The first time you stay a whole meeting. So, what's the issue? What's the issue? You really made a motion, Harry, about the county boiler. The motion was second and you say that it's no second. That's not being honest.
thank you.
Oh, you didn't hear? But you said right. Did you hear the sound during the executive session? So we got the round during the executive. I'm not sure. I'm Joseph. But executive session, we know you can't use that. You have a legal issue. What do you mean? I like you said, oh, that's why everybody claims legal now, right? The court. That's not the court. No, everybody wants to go to court. Yeah, we know. Really doesn't matter to me, but I know he got said. I've come and said. You see, absent, that's why I'm talking to you. Joseph I need to get some food. I need to call my wife.